Thanks everyone for joining in. My name's Claiborne. If you are a newbie to my class, and even if you're not a newbie and you forget names easily, there you go. There's my name again. So I hope everybody had a good weekend, good Easter, good Passover, whatever you celebrate. This class tonight is, as I always try to teach it, an all levels class. Sometimes it's a little more on the challenging side. Other times it's kind of lethargic in nature, depending on the energy in the room. And I'm trying to pick up vibes virtually right now. But usually the Monday class has a bit of some sprinkles of intensity, but kind of not too intense. I hope. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things evolve within this hour. So let's see. Oh yes, the Pope. Seeing the Pope, that was another highlight. I sat down and watched the whole Mass from St. Peter's yesterday. It's weird seeing that whole cathedral empty, other than people taking part in the Mass. So here's your here is your fun fact of the day, picked at random, of course, from the same website, same article. From Best Life Online, where I've been grabbing these things recently. 100 totally useless facts that are too entertaining for words. The first Nerf ball package claimed the toy, quote, can't hurt babies or old people, unquote. Probably couldn't get away with that kind of advertising today. When Parker Brothers released the first Nerf ball in 1970, they wanted the public to be aware of how safe the 4-inch foam toy was. To do that, they included text on the box that told buyers, quote, throw it indoors, you can't damage lamps or break windows. They also added, you can't hurt babies or old people. What a selling point. So that's interesting. Kind of reminds me of a Saturday Night Live skit I saw one time that was probably influenced by that ad. I think it was from the 70s. I think it featured Candice Bergen and Dan Aykroyd, maybe Jane Curtin or Gilda Radner, I can't remember, but it was basically about the safety of toys, and there was a guy representing a company that was selling a toy called Bag O' Glass, and saying that, oh, that's a lot safer than a Nerf ball, because you put the Nerf ball in your mouth and, you could choke on it. But anyway, it's a weird skit. Google it. Saturday Night Live, Bag O' Glass, and maybe you'll get a few chuckles out of that. So let's see, any more, no more commentary. So I guess everybody's ready to get started. So let's start by telling you what you may need. I have a yoga strap here, unfurled now. If you don't have a yoga strap, you can use a belt or a dog leash, a tie, even some tie that you don't care about, that you don't mind getting footprints on. And I don't know, I know we've been in quarantine, but maybe, just maybe, some of you all have a couple of yoga blocks in your possession. If not, you can grab a couple of unabridged dictionaries potentially, or but I don't know, we may not use them. I always like to cover all prop contingencies. But make sure right now that you have and you also need a sofa ledge, or a chair ledge, or an ottoman. I always wanted to open a furniture store and call it the Ottoman Empire. But here in New Orleans, we're in the Audubon Empire. And those are your props. Let's see, so let's start, why don't we, let's start in essentially not a lunge, a squat on your back. So I'll give you a minute to find your chair, your sofa, your ottoman, your footstool, whatever you got that you can put your legs on right now. Right? This is something we wouldn't be able to do in person at the gym, let's say. So unless I install some sofas in the in the yoga room. But I am not anticipating that. So we'll take advantage of the props we have around us. And anything can be a prop if you have it in your immediate space. So here's where I'm starting. My legs are up on the sofa ledge, reclining. Arms can be maybe right at your sides, slightly farther away. Find a position, sort of snow angel your arms. Try to find a position where it feels like they're the most comfortable and maybe where they get the most sort of passive stretch in the chest or wherever you might feel like you want to get some tissue elongation right now. So for me, that's pretty much just straight out to the side, open arms, and then close your eyes. Maybe your exhalations now, excuse me, come as a few sighs of relief. I know we've all been cooped up inside our houses and apartments. So whatever tools we can use to get out of that maybe that confinement attitude is a good thing. Now bring yourself into the house of your body. Right? Observe your flow of air in and out of your nose. Each round of inhalations and exhalations attempts to be a little deeper than the ones that preceded them. It can be closed mouth breathing rather, or open mouth breathing, depending on if your nose is stuffed up because of allergies, perhaps. And now change it up a little bit by taking your right foot and sliding it sliding it a little closer to your upper body onto this front section of whatever you're pushing into, your sofa, your ottoman, whatever you got here, so that you start to close down your right hip and right lower back a little bit more. Let's see how that feels. To those of you tuning into all sensory input right now, you may be able to hear the sound of a dog barking, which is happening right outside my window here. So my apologies if that is a distraction, but maybe not a distraction, but an opportunity to breathe through any potential distraction. May be keeping you from falling into mental quiescence. And then we'll switch legs. So I'm sliding my right leg back onto my sofa here and then pulling my left foot back onto, or rather toward my upper body. And I have the sole of my foot just kind of resting very passively on this edge of the cushion here. You can, if you want to, take your left hand around your left knee and reach your right arm out to the side. And I'm actually just kind of letting my hand hang on my knee here, like a hanger in your closet hanging on a hook. So see if that change in position, that passive attempt at protraction, that spreading of your left shoulder blade away from your spine, has created any new awareness in your upper back. About 3 more of breaths deeper than maybe what you started with prior to this session. All right, so now stretch your left leg back onto your sofa. You won't have straight legs here. And then reach your arms straight back behind you, presuming that feels okay. You can also grab the sides of your mat, grab a hold of it with your fingers, some of them, all of them, and then try to pull the mat rather toward the wall behind you in an attempt just to get a little more activity in your shoulders, and then start to push your lower back toward the floor just to take out any hyperextensive tendencies in the lumbar region. So keep doing that as you now take your left leg straight up in the air and then circle your left foot. At any time that you need to modify, and frankly, I can't tell if you're modifying anyway, so it's up to you if you want to. But if you need to, back off of something, one thing might be just to take your arms down and not hold on to the mat. But that will help with a little bit of scapular depression, pushing them toward your hips. So now circle your foot the other way. Hopefully it feels easier for those of you with tighter hamstrings to keep the leg up in the air right now than it would if you just had the leg not on the sofa or the ledge and just straight out along the floor. All right, because both hips are closer to being in the same position of hip flexion. So that's why it might be a little bit easier. Then, right, while holding onto your mat or not, just testing your inner thigh awareness, contraction, stretch, kind of all at the same time, lots of eccentric stuff happening. Try to solidify your abdominals, try to kind of brace everything as much as you can and allow your left leg to drop out to the side without letting your lower back come off the floor. And then take it back up. Goes out to the side and take it back up. So we'll just do 5 of these. That was 2. Goes out to the left a little bit. I'm trying to keep my lower back. Pushing into the floor, not flat as a pancake, just honoring the spinal curve. Comes back up. Back out to the left. Back up to the middle. Joint stacking knee and ankle over hip, and then back out to the side. Maybe keep it there for a moment, and then you could also try to internally and externally rotate that left leg. I don't know if you could see that in the video. Hopefully you can, but I'm just spiraling my left leg here in the socket. Yeah, and then take it back to the middle, but now cross the left leg over the right leg, and it's sort of a twist. It's not a very deep twist, not a lot of rotation here. But if you cross your left ankle over your right knee, still got the right leg hanging out on the sofa or the footstool, whatever you got it on. Right hand is on the outer edge of the left knee. You push into the knee and push the knee back into the hand. And then try to turn your head to the left and act as if you are actually trying to, because you're actually trying to pull the right side of your rib cage toward the right. But, actually without really getting it off the floor that much. Good. All right, so we'll do that little sequence on the other side. Once again, option to kind of integrate your upper body into lower body work. So you find shoulder flexion, i.e. your arms reach toward the back of your mat. You can grab a hold of it. The complementary position to shoulder flexion is external rotation. So what you could do is you could keep your palms pointing down, pinky fingers pointing in, thumbs pointing sideways, and then try to grab the mat that way. And see if that makes any impact on your perception of your shoulders here and how they relate to your abdominal bracing you're trying to do. So now still with that bent left leg on the sofa there, right? And by the way, I never specified the exact angle of the knee, but it's approximately 90 degrees. I don't think I'm quite at 90, but almost. I'm within the maybe 5 or 10 degree range. So that right leg is up in the air, trying to pull the mat backwards, push your lower back into the ground, and then circle your right foot. Now let's circle the other way. And then you can let the foot just kind of hang out here. But now we'll try to have a little conversation with your adductors on your right leg and your left leg, frankly. They're both kind of going into a position. They'll pull away from the midline, but right side more dramatically. So your right leg, right as you brace your abdominals and try not to flare your ribs, push everything to the floor, take the leg out to the side, only as far as you can go without that lower back popping up off the floor. And then pull it straight back up. So that was one. We'll do 4 more of these. Controlled. Take it out to the side. Back up. Whoops. I have to brace myself a little bit more. I felt the left side of my back pulling up a little bit. Pulling abdominal muscles in. The leg goes out to the side. You take it back up. Out to the right. Back up. And then one more of those. Goes out to the side. Take it back up. And then cross your right leg over your left leg. Right arm can stay out to the side. Left hand comes to the outside of the right knee. Now try to push hand into knee and knee back into hand. You can turn your head to the right. So one side of your neck might actually be a little more tight than the other. I've been feeling some asymmetries in my neck in the past couple days. I probably slept weird, as a friend of mine calls it. It's a sleep injury. That sounds so pitiful, I know, but it's true. You wake up with a crick in your neck sometimes. Good. All right, release that. Then, a couple more things while we're in this position. Let me see what commentary is coming my way. Hello, Freddie. All right. Hey, Sasha. Sorry, not sure when you all put those comments in. I'm just looking periodically. All right, so you still have your legs on the sofa here. You will need your strap or your belt or your dog leash in a moment. However, I wanted to start by doing some hip bridging, bridge lifts on the sofa ledge or the footstool ledge. So typically, just a quick little context here. Typically in a gym setting and in the mind body room setting, you might have your feet fat, hopefully not fat. Maybe they've been swelling up in your too small for your feet shoes, but they will have been flat on the floor, and then you start to lift yourself this way. However, when you have your feet on the sofa, as I do now, this will start to place more of a vertical positioning in your hamstrings. It's more hip flexion than you would typically have reclining with just your feet on the floor. So it's going to make the hamstrings work a little bit harder to get your hips up in the air. And as you're lifting your hips, as we try in any hip extension, you want to contract your glutes. So don't worry about moving the arms for this. We'll just focus on the lower body. So I have my feet right on the ledge here, on the edge, living on the edge, as Aerosmith would say. You inhale, drive your heels straight into the floor. I'm posteriorly tilting as I start to pull my hips into the sky, squeezing glutes as hard as you can. You can even try to squeeze your feet toward each other if you don't think you're going to rip the fabric on your nice sofa. And then you exhale as you descend your spine and your tailbone and your hips. Inhale, control it up. Right, take it as high as you can. And then as you exhale, you feel your spine spreading across the floor, maybe with a little more space between each vertebra than what you had mere moments ago. Inhale, driving the heels into the floor. I can feel a big contraction in my hamstrings. Hopefully you can too. However, if the contraction is causing a cramp, then stop, unless you love cramps. Give me about 2 more of these. We all might be moving at slightly different paces here. And then 1 more. Good. All right, so then think of taking your split, or rather think of taking your squat, which you're kind of in a squat position. And then butterflying it. Sorry, this is not a vegetarian joke, but butterflying a chicken kind of. Butterfly your tofurkey, vegetarian option. So that you can feel a little more stretch on your inner thighs in case that attempts to adduct them actively. Active inner thighs with active buttocks when you're back bending. Good combo. So now that has a chance to, just for a moment at least, because we'll do another version of this, to find a reset button to relax. You can also use your hands, maybe or your arms, backs of your hands, as sort of extra weight to try to drop into. Well, it's not going to be that much, but to drop into the knees. All right, so then round 2 will be those bridge lifts on your sofa or footstool ledge, 1 leg at a time. If you have any knee issues or prone to cramping in your hamstrings, just be mindful of that. I can't feel what's happening in your body for you, so if you feel like you need to, back off of this one, that's fine. And I can't tell if you're backing off anyway. Right? You might be lying down having your quarantini right now, for all I know. All right, so for this, I'm not going to worry about the angle of my thigh in relation to my hip here. I'm just trying to get the foot off the sofa right now. The right leg's just kind of going along for the ride. I'm driving my left heel into my sofa here. Then, same thing that you were doing when you had both feet on your ledge. But actually, let's mix it up a little bit. So, pile in your abdominal muscles. Really try to find that abdominal bracing, that saran wrapping of your gut area. On your exhalation, try to drive your hips straight up into the air. And we'll do 5 per leg as I hold up 4 fingers. But now there's 5. And then inhale as you descend. Exhale, ascend. Inhale, lower. Exhale, up. Inhale, down. Last one here. Exhale, lift. Then, little redux of what we did with the straight leg, hips on the ground earlier. But now hips are up in the air. You try to keep your hips high as you reach your right leg out to the side without letting the weight of your legs start to topple you over. All right, so you can let it go out as far as you can. Still try to lift your hips. Smile, because you love this. Take your leg back up. Last effort, lift your hips a little bit higher. And then take it down. Now, take your right leg back onto the sofa. A little counter pose here. That was a lot of contracting for the back of your thigh. So now, maybe since you fatigued it a bit, it might be a little more receptive to stretching. So grab your belts, your tie, your dog leash, whatever you got. I have an actual yoga strap, but any of those props will do. You could also use your actual hand and fingertips as a prop if you need to. But I'm going to stick with my strap here. So having the right leg just hanging out on the sofa will make it so that your left leg might come a little bit closer to your upper body than if you had your leg not on the sofa and just on the floor. So pulling it towards you, let's hold it for about 5 more breaths. I'll count. Inhale. Exhale 5. Squeeze your quads, front of that thigh to help the knee extend. Inhale. Exhale 4. Inhale. Exhale 3. Maybe pull it a little closer. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 1. Good. All right. So let's do those single leg bridge lifts on the second side. So start getting excited. You know you love it. Right heel pushing into the furniture here. And I didn't mention it at first, but I usually like to have my heel down. Not always, but most of the time. Instead of the sole of the foot, because honestly I get foot cramps more easily if my foot is down and it's going to this sort of claw foot that's trying to grasp something, trying to keep the bottom of the leg active. So heels on the ground, on the sofa. The left leg, you're just kind of going along for the ride. Don't worry about the precise angle at the hip here. So inhale while you're on the floor, and then brace everything. Exhale, drive your hips straight up into the air. Inhale as you lower. Even as you're inhaling, try to maintain some gut bracing. Exhale as you lift. 3 more of these. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. Squeeze your right buttock. Inhale down. Exhale up, a little higher than last time, and then 1 more of these. Inhale, descend. Exhale, ascend, the highest you can go. Ooh, squeeze hamstrings, squeeze buttock, and then maybe this time straightening that left leg. If you want, you can also cheat a little bit by pushing the backs of the arms into the ground. Ooh, keep those hips high, and then try to get that left leg to out to the side without letting your hips kind of lose their face-up position. And then take the leg back up, and then foot back on the sofa, and then happily take it down. Grab your dog leash strap, whatever you got, and we'll stretch the back of the right leg this time. Right? So you just exhausted it a little bit. Or fatigued it, I should say. Exhausted would mean inherently that it's can't do anymore. So you fatigued it a little bit. Left leg is on the sofa here. And again, this is making it so that both hips are in the same position of flexion. And you're not so much starting to approach being in an upside down split category. So taking that leg toward your face, squeeze your quadriceps, right? The muscles on the front of your knee that help to straighten the knee. Right? Reciprocal inhibition, you contract those muscles. The opposite side, the hamstrings, will lengthen a bit. And then try to pull that leg towards you. 5 more breaths at this point. Inhale. Exhale, 5. Inhale. Exhale, 4. Inhale. Exhale, 3. Try to pull the leg a little closer. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 1. Good. All right. Now it's only taken, what, about 30 minutes or so to get off our backs. But here we are, finally. So, see what it feels like to sit up. Excuse me. Oh, what it feels like to sit up is you might taste your coffee that you had a little while ago. And that's what's happening to me. All right, so next, we actually aren't entirely done on our backs yet. So, well, aside from, Shavasana notwithstanding, but we'll get back to that obviously as our ultimate pose. We'll have some penultimates before that. Now, if you have, a block or one of those unabridged dictionaries, something that's kind of hefty, then that will come into play. But heftiness doesn't really matter. I should say something of dimensions that are comparable to a yoga block right here. So this is called the staff pose, and usually when we're all together, that's why I like to call it the staff meeting. Get it? So we're having a staff meeting right now, virtually. And to be discussed right now is, how are your hamstrings feeling as you sit here? Hopefully, you already were in this position mostly, right? You had one leg bent a moment ago when you were on your back. So hopefully, it's a little bit easier to sit up than it would be ordinarily. And this is basically just a perspective shift on downward facing dog, which I hardly ever teach in its traditional orientation to the earth. But we'll try it seated right now because that takes out the sometimes proclivity toward just kind of falling into the support of the shoulders and becoming a little oblivious to what's happening in them and in the back. So this will make it so that you really have to squeeze your abdominal muscles in and sit up tall so that your spine is nice and upright. More upright, less uptight. That's what I try to do in these sessions. So have your block between your hands. Your wrists are on the block here. And here's your shoulder flexion. You try to depress the scapula first, push them toward the floor. My feet are in dorsiflexion, i.e. the heels are pushing forward, toes pulling back. Then you take your block straight up. I might be slightly out of view there of the block. However, you're trying not to make your spine round. If that is happening, by the way, you might have a cushion or two, a pillow or two on your sofa, and you can just put that on your knees, and that will make it so that the hamstrings don't have to work quite as hard. Otherwise, squeeze your quads, sit up tall, abdominal bracing, that feeling roughly you get before you cough. And sit up as tall as you can. All right, how about we hold this for 5 more breaths. All right, inhale, exhale 5. Inhale, do this with me if you can. Exhale 4, reach even higher like you're trying to grab a pull-up bar. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 2. You still with me? Inhale. Inhale a bit more. Hold. Tighten your abdominals. Exhale, tighten them even more. And then release. Good. All right. So let's do a lunge. Just a few things. Upright before we lie down again. So use the fact that you still have your sofa ledge here, or your chair, or your ottoman, whatever you got. Make sure you have some padding. Whoops, I might be slightly out of view here. But I think you can see the majority of how I'm positioned here. So create your posterior tilt and facing your piece of furniture of choice that you can hold on to in a moment. squeeze that left buttock, right, and then start to lunge toward that leg. And what you can actually do, I don't know, hopefully you can see it here. I have my shin just pushed right up into the sofa. Right? Maybe that's not so comfortable if you got a wooden chair, but do what you can. Do what you can. You know, we don't all have the same furniture. So squeezing that buttock, and then maybe you're able to lunge and get your hands to rest on your chair or your sofa ledge there. Right? Let's just hold this for 3 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 1. Good. All right, so let's switch. Let's switch. Blah. So you have your left shin coming up to your sofa or your chair there. My toes are disappearing under my sofa. Maybe finding some dust that hasn't been addressed in a while. So you try to create that posterior pelvic tilt. Right, you can feel your posterior, speaking of posteriors, right hand to right buttock, right, or left hand, whatever you want to do, or both hands, why not? Feel all the glory down there. Create that posterior pelvic tilt. You should feel some broadening of the front of your thigh, and then you can lunge toward the sofa. And if it's a relatively soft surface, as I have here, then you can comfortably lean into it. And it'll be a good stopper so that your knee doesn't go way beyond your toes. There are instances where they do that. I think in forest yoga, the lunge in forest yoga is more kind of slightly beyond the toes. But if you have any concerns about that, the chair is here to keep that near vertical alignment. Right? I've been talking a lot, but let's hold this for about 3 more breaths. Inhale. Exhale 3. Inhale. Exhale 2. Inhale. Exhale 1. Good. All right. And then how about kind of a child's pose on the sofa or the chair? You can have your hands on your sofa ledge. Right? It could be just the hands. It could be the forearms. It could be everywhere on the arms up to the elbows. And it all depends on how high your furniture is, what feels good to you, and your own proportions. I'm not built like you. You're not built like me. Do what feels good, but avoid just full out collapsing here. Right? Try to make it a bit more of an active child's pose than usual. Push down into the sofa. Feel that protraction, that spreading of your shoulder blades away from your spine. If you want to let your head hang a little bit, that's fine. Good. All right, and then one more thing. This will be our penultimate exercise before we get to the ultimate one, Shavasana. I call this, I'm still always working on the title, but for now I'm calling it the snooze button exercise. Let me explain what that means. And nice thing to do as a little cool down thing. So imagine that you are in bed on your back, and again, here's another test of your hearing. You might be able to hear a train. I'm very close to train tracks right now, and there's a train about to go by, so apologies there. The nature of doing something live. So here's where the snooze button exercise comes from. You start to roll onto your right side. Imagine you have your clock on your right, and you're trying to turn the clock off. If anybody actually still uses actual clocks instead of the alarms on your phone, but humor me here. Maybe you're reaching for your phone. But you start to reach with your left arm. Sorry, I'm turning away from you. Reach with your left arm on a diagonal. You know, if where your head is the back of your mat, you're reaching toward the back right, and your left leg is reaching toward toward the front left. So just find that big diagonal reach, pushing that snooze button, and then here you are, kind of coming back onto your back, reclining, but making it into a twist. Your left leg reaches out to the right and your left arm reaches out to the left. And then try that again. You reach your left arm toward that alarm going off, just hit the snooze button again, left leg's reaching opposites. And feel those opposing forces. Reach left leg over to the right again, left arm over to the left, and we'll try that one more time. Left arm reaching toward the back right, left leg reaching toward the front left, and then left leg reaching right, left arm reaching left. And then we'll do that on the other side. So now you're reaching for your other alarm clock in case you missed the first one or the batteries ran out on that first one and you weren't charging it. So I'm starting to roll into my left side. I'm reaching with my right arm. Again, if this is where my head is the back of the mat, I'm reaching toward the back left with my right hand and toward the front right with my right foot, feeling this long line of stretch all through this lateral side of your body on the right. And then you make it into a twist, snoozing in your mind, not here tonight, for 10 minutes or however long snooze buttons last. 2 more rounds of that. Reach your right arm and right leg away from each other on this diagonal. And then back into your twist. And then 1 more of those. Right arm reaches. So does the right leg. Twisting again. And then Shavasana, your relaxation pose. Adjust your shoulder blades a little farther away from your head. Relax your jaw. And for the moment, and having already made those bed references with the snooze button exercise, let your mat become your mattress for a couple extra minutes here. Sink into its support. Regardless of whether you're on underneath your yoga mat is a carpeted floor, marble floor, wooden floor. Know that it's there to support you. Feel gratitude for that support. Feel gratitude for the support your body gives you in regular times when we're actually walking around and doing stuff. But also feeling gratitude now, even in our confinement, for being able to do something to decompress and reassess as we address any of these potential lingering tight areas in the body. Scan yourself for tension. Doing your best to envision whatever that tension is, letting go. allow yourself to relax completely. Into your natural state of relaxation. If you'd like to stay here longer, by all means, do so. Otherwise, let's start to move the body very gradually out of the still position that it's been in. It might be a very subtle or not so subtle undulation, re-articulation, pandiculation to bring you out of the still place you've been in physically. Try to maintain your mental quietude even as your body is moving. Roll yourself onto one side and sit up. See what it feels like. Reassess your outlook right now. Reassess how your body feels. A little more poised, a little more relaxed, a little more aware of your inner space, the space around you in your immediate surroundings, and the space beyond your quarantined walls. If you'd like to, bring your palms together. Maybe a slight Mona Lisa smile to imply the joy, hopefully, that you're feeling having done some good stuff for yourself this hour. Bowing your head if you'd like in gratitude to your body and to all your blessings. Well done, everyone. Namaste. Thank you. Have a great evening, or morning, or afternoon, if you watch the rebroadcast. See you later.